What does it mean when we have the new moon in Scorpio? So every new moon is like you're planting a seed to have something new happening in your life. You create something new. You're still in the dark, so you don't really have all the full visibility, but it's coming from the inside that you're creating something from the inside. You're planting the first seed to something. And when we have a new moon, we look at what sign it falls in, because that would say something about the theme that's coming up for you. And I want to go through what this new moon is going to activate for you. Welcome and thank you for joining my channel. My name is Charlotte Westerheim and I call my channel Dancing Astrologer. And today I want to talk about the new moon in Scorpio. I've already made 2 videos about what's happening in November during Scorpio season. The first one was Venus entering into Scorpio, which happened on the 7th of November 2025. And then also Venus made a trine to Saturn and Neptune, or is going to make a trine on the 26th and 29th of November. And today is going to be about the new moon in Scorpio. So what is that going to mean for you? And I always like to look back. So last time we had new moon in Scorpio was 1st November 2024. And why is this important? Because maybe back then, if you recall, maybe you write a diary, or maybe you're very good at remembering certain periods of your life. And I think it's very helpful to sometimes go back and think about what happened. What happened 1st of November, around 1st of November 2024 for you, to see if you were planting some seeds into something new beginning, something that was beginning to form for you, like an idea or a purpose or an intention, and see where you are 1 year later, what is going on, what has changed for that particular subject, whatever that might have been. So what is so incredible with this new moon is it's not alone. So of course, each new moon is different, and the new moon a year ago is very different from this new moon. Why? Because we have Mercury sitting right on the degree 28, 29 degrees of where this new moon is happening. So Mercury is also retrograde, and perhaps you felt that lately, that a few things are just not happening the way you want. You have delays, you have misunderstandings, you have frustration, there are things breaking down in communication ways, or just simple misunderstandings, or you forget things. So now Mercury is sitting right there in the new moon, and it's not alone. It's also making an opposition to Uranus, which is also retrograde in the last degree of Taurus. So we have a lot going on in this axis between Taurus and Scorpio. So it means even if it's a new moon in Scorpio, it will definitely take on the flavor of Taurus as well. So every time we have this new moon, there is a chance to reset something. And the theme this time is about going deeper and to dig into something that we buried. And when we have the Mercury in between the sun and the moon, we are reminded about things that we might have communicated, things that have to do with communication, things that we have maybe not spoken up about, things that's deeply hidden within us. And when we have a planet like Uranus, that is a big awakener planet. And it's almost like a lightning bolt when we have Uranus. It's like a sudden insight, because we have Mercury thinking patterns and becoming aware of something. And then we have Uranus, and Uranus just jumps ahead and just give you that sudden insight, where sometimes you just have the feeling that you understood something. So let's take that you hadn't understood before. Let's take you have a conversation with somebody. You're talking about an event that happened in the past, and you both had a different experience of that event. Maybe 1 year later, you sit down and you discuss it again, and you just have some new information coming to light from the other person, and vice versa. And you both enlighten each other. You both get a new perspective. You also maybe realize the way you have experience things, or how you saw this particular situation, what opinion you had about it, was maybe completely wrong. And you get this insight that I have a completely misunderstood the situation, or now I have a new insight that I understand, and I can take that to the next level. So whenever you have retrograde planets, it's almost like there is an inner explosion, because when there's a retrograde planets, they don't work so much on the outward space, they work a lot on the inner space. So this is, in Scorpio, the chance to really dig deep of the buried feelings. Maybe you are ready to reveal something about yourself that you've been keeping hidden for whatever reason. Maybe you've not been aware. Maybe you're not there to bring it out. Maybe because it's Scorpio, there's some old grudges, there's some old resentment. Maybe that needs to be revisited because we have the retrograde Mercury. Maybe it needs to be revisited in order to move forward and to take a look at what that is. So I'm going to go through the 12 signs. My starting point is going to be the ascending sign, and then see where Scorpio falls, in which house it falls, and in which house Uranus is going to fall in your chart. And I'm using whole sign houses here to make it more simple. So I'm going to see if I can share my screen. Just give me a moment. Here we go. So we start with Aries rising. So if you have Aries rising in whole sign houses, you would have Scorpio sitting in your 8th house. This is a lot about intimacy, shared resources, deep transformation, deep feelings, even things that are a little unconscious in us. And then this is where the new moon is happening for you. This is where you can plant a seed of something new for you. And of course, Mercury sits at the same place with the new moon, and it's looking directly in the opposite direction. It's looking at Uranus in Taurus, which in this case is going to be in your 2nd house of self-worth and money, financial security, and so on. So take a look about what this means for you in terms of these themes and how they are going to play out in your life, and if there's anything here where you want to plant a new seed to take a leap into something new in a new direction for you. So then we have, if you're Taurus rising, your new moon is going to fall in Scorpio in your 7th house, and that means you have Uranus sitting in your 1st house. It's been sitting there for a while, of course, because it's coming to the late degrees. So you're probably used to a lot of changes, and a lot of things been happening for the last few years, since I think 2018-19, if I remember correctly. So it's coming to the end. It's going to move back into Gemini once it's finished its retrograde phase. But here you really have the theme of relationship and the other, like partnerships. So when you have Uranus in the 1st house, as it would be in your case, it means you're maybe the one creating the disruption in the relationship, even though you might feel that it's the other party. But the fact that you are the one with Uranus, it's going to be you maybe wanting to make changes in your relationship. You want to push for a new direction, and maybe you're the one that make these new suggestions, or maybe you act in a different way to push the relationship in a different direction. If you're Gemini rising, your new moon in Scorpio is going to sit in your 6th house, which is going to be what kind of new seeds do you want to plant in your health routines, in your day-to-day habits, and in your work life. And if you then have Uranus for you will be the 12th house, here you can really get some insights about work routines, maybe things happening at work that you have not wanted to deal with, but with Uranus there, you will maybe have to do it. There might be things happening that is going to destabilize the habits and the routines, and something might come up that make you take another look, like an inner awakening kind of thing, this lightning bolt that I mentioned before. If you have Cancer rising, then you have the new moon in Scorpio in your 5th house of creativity, romance, joy, children, and self-expression. So this could be a time to really bring out that creativity in yourself and have some fun, pump up the volume on your romance and so on. And you have Uranus sitting in the 11th house. So here there can be that shift as well in how you relate with your self-expression, with how you position yourself in friends groups and networks and community. Try and bring out that, that really beautiful balance between everybody is special, but everybody also have a role and a function where they inspire and uplift each other in the community or in friends groups. Then if you have Leo rising, your new moon in Scorpio is falling in your 4th house of home, roots, family, and emotional foundation and security around your home. And Uranus is then in the 10th house. So here you might get some surprises. Let's say you get a job opportunity, you have to move abroad and you have to move the whole family with you, or a completely new way of working, which means that it will also impact everything around the home and the routines you have in the home. If you are Virgo rising, your new moon in Scorpio is falling in your 3rd house. And this is your house of communication, siblings, your thinking process, your rationale, your communication, and your nearby environment. So with Mercury sitting in this new moon in Scorpio and in the 3rd house for you, might be really, really focused on this. What I mentioned, that you go back and think about something. Maybe you have some issues with your siblings that need to be discussed again, and to bring that up, share those ideas, see if you can get that different perspective. And if you have Uranus in the 9th house, it might really help to travel. And sometimes when we travel, we really get these new perspectives anyway. It's like we zoom out from ourselves and see ourselves from a different angle. And this can really help in our thinking process, our beliefs, and our experience of things that happen that we need to maybe bring up again to the light and the consciousness to understand it better and to move forward. If you're Libra rising, your new moon in Scorpio is falling in your 2nd house, the house of money, self-worth, resources, values, and feeling, secure and safe. And with Uranus and Taurus in the opposite house, in the 8th house, you might feel that you are the one that trying to hold on to things, trying to create more financial security for yourself, looking into your resources. And then you have Uranus and Taurus coming from perhaps a partner. Maybe somebody want to spend more money and you want to hold on to more money, and there is this conflict of interest, so to speak, that might come up. This is just one example of things that could come up in this kind of dynamic. Scorpio rising, then you have Scorpio rising that's happening in your 1st house, is your identity, your body, your self-expression, your personal self, how you go out in the world. This is really where you want to take a good look at perhaps your health routines, how you express yourself, how free you are with, your own personal self, and how you go about meeting others in the world, and how you present yourself. And maybe with Uranus in the opposite house, in the 7th house, this is maybe where you will yourself get a little bit challenged, maybe from a partner, other collaborations you have, other types of partnerships, where they might challenge you in that you have one opinion or impression of yourself, and you might be challenged that people have different opinions about yourself that you were not aware of, or that make you take a look at yourself in a different way, for both in positive or maybe even negative. It could be there are rumors that are false rumors, and you want to address them. You want to face them head on. Sagittarius rising, then your new moon in Scorpio falls in your 12th house. This is really the house of retreat, of healing, our inner life, our spiritual life, our belief system, and the place we go to when we just need to believe in something bigger and better outside ourselves is also our mental health. And Uranus is in Taurus in the 6th house, so maybe you need to shift some health habits. You know, maybe you need to think about your work routines, because there need to be the good balance between the 6th house, which is more the physical body, and the 12th house, which is more the mental health, as opposite to the physical health. There need to be a balance, and both of these two houses, they affect us equally. It's just easier to look at maybe the physical, but the mental health is, as I said, equally important. Capricorn rising, new moon in Scorpio will fall in your 11th house. 11th house is the house of friends, network, community, your goals. It's also what we call the house of hopes and dreams. So this is a perfect place for you to put that seed down, to think about where you want to go, what you want to create your hopes, your dreams. And then with Taurus, maybe you get a sudden insight to something where you understand where you're going. Maybe you've been pushing in one direction and suddenly you get this lightning bolt that tells you to go in a completely different direction. With Uranus, is always expect the unexpected. Again, I want to remind that both Mercury and Uranus are retrograde, so it's a lot on the of an inner process at the moment. And maybe when things are moving forward, when they go direct and move forward again, this is when things start to happen in a big way, because Uranus is fast and Mercury, they're both fast planets. It's a thinking process. So once you have an idea, you know, you can start working on it, making it happen. Aquarius rising, Scorpio, new moon in Scorpio falls in your 10th house. This is where your career, public life is located. It's your career. It's more than your career. It's also your long-term direction, and sometimes it's really your life purpose. So not always work related, but life purpose. It can be, you know, a charity that you really believe in. That is, you do one thing for your day-to-day work, but you know you have other purposes that you're following in your spare time, so to speak. Just to give one idea, that means Uranus in Taurus is in the opposite house, which is the 4th house of family roots, and here you might feel that disruption or innovation. There might be a need to move. When you have Uranus in the 4th house, I've seen it again and again. People get this sudden need to move, to change the decor, to do something, buy new furniture, do something in the home space. So this could be the interesting areas for you where there be some change or some new direction. Finally, we have Pisces rising, and here we got new moon in Scorpio in the 9th house. This is the house of traveling, higher learning, beliefs, religion, philosophy, whatever you believe in. It's things you study, the long-term study, things where you educate yourself to better yourself. With Uranus in the 3rd house, this is really very interesting axis with the 3rd and the 9th house again, because here you can get those sudden changes in thinking, communication, and technology perhaps that might be coming in as well, because I didn't mention that, but of course we always look to Uranus for forward thinking, and that means also technology and how we use technology to better our communication, to better things in our life. So this new moon in Scorpio is quite at home here with the planets of Mercury and Uranus being involved, because here you can, maybe you want to travel, maybe you want to study abroad, and so on, where you can use that insights coming from Uranus and Taurus to make some changes in your life. Maybe you start a new study, or just traveling, or maybe you will, yourself start to read about a new philosophy, a new religion, some spiritual direction that will enrich your life. So these were the slides. I hope that was helpful. And so again, have a think about your life with the new moon in Scorpio. As it always is the time for us to plant that seed, to start on something new in our life. And I love the way that we have Mercury and Uranus involved in this new moon, because Scorpio wants to bring things to light, and it's always there as something we are it's like bringing something to the surface that we need to look at. And it can be just the way we have, because Scorpio rules the emotional body. Sometimes it's simply things that we believe about ourselves that is not the truth. It's something we've been told, or some experience we had many years ago that created this illusion or this idea of something about ourselves or the world. And we have this new moon. It's still in the dark, but you have this sudden revelations or insights where you are ready to let it go and go into a new direction for yourself. Basically, Uranus here is liberating. It's creating that freedom from how thoughts can weigh us down or can give us a false perspective or something. And with Mercury, it helps with the two planets, Mercury and Uranus going retrograde, it really is a great time to use that Scorpio energy to dig deep, to see what it is you need to bring up to the light, to revise and renew and let go. It's like an awakening of some sort. So I hope this was useful. And if anybody want to share what's going on in their life in these areas, any insights they got, I think that would be very, very interesting to hear. And yeah, take care, and thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. And if you want to have a more individual reading with me rather than just a generic presentation like here, feel free to contact me on my website, dancingastrologer.com, and you can book a reading and we can go through what is happening for you specifically with anything else going on in your birth charts, because I'm sure there's other planets in each individual chart. There's loads of things going on that is specific for you. So thank you for listening, thank you for tuning in, and take care. And this is happening on the 20th of November, by the way.